Hello everyone, once again welcome to my channel. My name is Shivakrishnan and I upload videos related to data analytics and its tools such as Power BI and Excel, and I also upload videos related to AI and writing prompts to AI at times. Okay, so now in today's video we're going to take a look at how to do demand forecasting. All right, and I'm a little excited with this because usually I've not done demand forecasting many times, but this is I'm going to do this for the first time. All right, in this particular video, so let's get started. Okay, and just as a heads up, this is not going to be a very advanced demand forecasting. This is going to be at a very basic level. Okay, and in order for us to do the demand forecasting, right, we will study the data set, we will study the average, and then basis that we will be able to come up with the number for the next year. Okay, so this is where as a data analyst, right, you become very important for a business. All right, so you ought to know, which DAX query is going to be used in which scenario. That is one of the most important things as a data analyst study will be doing, right? We study the historical data, and basis that you come up with the you know calculation, and then you present that to the management. All right, so let's get started, and I'll go to home page, click on new measure. Okay, first I will write the DAX query, and then I will show you the data set also. Okay, I'll write average, sorry, average monthly sales is equals to, we'll write average X. So now, this function, right, what this function does is that it does the calculation. It helps us in deriving the average over each and every row. Okay, it does the calculation over each and every row in a data set. And whereas the function average, it helps us to do the total average. But now average X is something at each and every row level. All right, so you'll be able to understand as we progress with writing this DAX query. Okay, and average X, and then I'll select values. All right, and then here I'll type month. Okay, so it will help us with the values, right? It will help us with the unique values for the month of for each and every month. I'll close that. Okay, so now I'll say calculate. It evaluates an expression in a context modified by filters. So in very simple words, it helps us in doing the calculation basis the context in which we need the data. So I'll explain this in calculate, and then you write sum. Okay, now what do we want? We need the quantities sold, right? So here, for each and every month, what was the quantity sold, what is the average. All right, that's what we need. We close the bracket, we close the bracket for sum. So now we are going to close the bracket for calculate, and then we're going to close the bracket for average X. Okay, hit enter. In a few minutes you will get the average monthly sales. So this DAX query is being written. All right, so now we'll write another DAX query. This is the forecasted monthly sales. I'll write forecasted monthly sales is equals to, we'll select the DAX query that we wrote, average monthly sales. Okay, this is where the average monthly sales is stored, right? And then multiply that by 1.05. So in a real world scenario, right, that there will be like a 5% or 7% change in demand, assuming that all the other variables remain constant. Okay, so with all the other factors remaining constant, the change in the demand is going to be estimated at 5 or 7%, or at the most 10%. But then if there is a spike in demand, right, then there must have been other factors that must have been changed drastically. So I'll explain this. Right, give me a moment, let me write this text query first. In a few minutes this will be done. Okay, this is done. So what we did is that we wrote the average DAX query, right, to in order for us to derive the average monthly sales data, and then we multiplied that by 1.05, which indicates the 5% change in demand for the upcoming year, a 5% increase, which is what is going to happen in a real life world. 5 or 7% is what people can predict. All right, so now we'll see how our numbers look like. Okay, so see, thing is that let's say that you are in a place like Mumbai or Delhi or any other place. So that okay, for a particular region this is the population that we have, all right, and what's going to be the population for the upcoming year. If there is a drastic change in the immigration of population in those regions, right, when a lot many people move to already overcrowded areas, then we can expect a significant spike in demand. But we are now going into those details. We are assuming that all the other factors remain constant, and the only thing is that with regards to few changes that could significantly, not significantly, to some extent it can have an impact in the demand. So with most of the factors remaining constant and few factors such as some people's salaries have increased, and so their purchasing power increases, and therefore they will do a little bit shopping. So basis that we can have a, like, let's say 5 or 7% increase in sales. All right, so we will see that. Now first I'll drag the month. Okay, and now in the y-axis, in the x-axis I'll place the month, and the quantity sold I'll place that in the y-axis. All right, so now I'll drag the forecasted sales into y-axis. Okay, so let's study so that we know that more or less this is what is going to happen. All right, so let's see. For example, if I place the cursor here at December, the sales for December stood at 15,799. That's the actual average, right? So for the upcoming year it will be at 16,588. That is pretty much reasonable, right? Even if let's say the demand is not that high, I don't think your inventory will go in waste or something like that. But if you don't do the proper demand forecasting, and if you buy excessive quantities, then that's going to be a huge loss. But 5% here and there, that is understood. 5 or 10%, that's the reason why I took the number as 5%. Okay, we can even do that for 7%, 8 or 9%. That's understood, right? Let's take a look at the numbers for July. July, 16,280 units were sold, and my apologies, 15,505 were sold, whereas in July the demand is expected to be 16,280, right? Not much of a difference. So ideally our forecasting, the basic level of forecasting here is more or less correct, right? And then in order for us to do like a very advanced forecasting, there may be so many other factors that come into play, right? I do not have much advanced knowledge with regards to doing the forecasting, but I just wanted to do the basic level analysis here, And I hope that that would have made some sense to you, right? And let's say that why we would be doing the forecasting, because let's say that you have a retail outlet, like let's say DMart, okay, DMart, Shopper Stop, or any other you know store that you can think of. Let's say Big Bazaar. Okay, so Big Bazaar, what happens is that they study the data, right? And they study the data on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, what's the sales like, and then they do the projection for the upcoming year. All right, and basis that the sales team, the marketing team, and your supply chain teams, they all will coordinate. They all would need this kind of data and the analysis. All right, I hope that that makes sense to you. So um, what I mean to say is that, let's say you have, I'm giving an example, let's say you have a DMart, DMart store in one place in Mumbai. Let's say you have a DMart store in Malad. Okay, or let's say, if you, in case if you're from Delhi, you have a DMart store in, let's say, Lakshmi Nagar, and they are planning to open a store in some place in Noida. Noida, maybe like sector 58 or sector 63. Okay, or maybe let's say in Rajendra Place or something like that. Okay, so they would study the sales that have happened in Lakshmi Nagar, and then they will come up with the projection. In case if they want to open a store in Connaught Place, then what's going to be the numbers like. Okay, and then they will come up with the projection, and that's how the demand forecasting will be very much essential. All right, so I hope that you found this video useful to some extent. Okay, and in case if you like the video, do subscribe to this channel and do share with your friends. And in upcoming videos, I'll be doing more detailed analysis, more dashboard, and I will be exploring more tax queries in detail. Okay, thank you so much for staying connected with my channel, and I really do wish you a very happy Diwali in advance. Okay, thank you. Have a lovely day.